Chris Meyer.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
And the state of Minnesota.
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully,
and impartially discharge the duties of the office of the county
I will faithfully and impartially discharge the office of the office
Now state your title.
Commissioner
Of the County of Winona
of the County of Winona
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Yeah, you can do. Well, thank you, the same to you. The first meeting of the year of 2023. Our first order of business is election of a chair and a vice chair for the county board.
I would like to make a motion to elect Commissioner Ward to be the chair for the upcoming calendar year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Ward, okay, so Commissioner Vagley has moved and Commissioner Ward has seconded a motion to make Commissioner Marshall Ward the board chair for 2023. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to, it's been 12 years. I just want to review where I think things are at, or at least where they were at when I left. So my understanding of the board chair, the person has additional responsibilities, runs the meeting, but there's a couple issues that it's important to be clear about. One of which is when the board chair talks in the public, they should distinguish between what they're saying for themselves as individual versus the board, correct? Is that a fair consensus?
Yeah, that is a policy.
The other big issue that was for all 8 years of my first 2 terms was the planning commission appointments. And I understand that there's state statute requirements. We had gotten to a point where we had, I think, a tacit agreement that the chair would appoint people to the planning commission and to the other committees based on the recommendation and kind of like a non-binding vote, so that it was a reflection of the full county board, not just one person's discretion. But I think that there's been a change in that precedent since then.
I would indicate, yes, what the statute requires is that there be input, but not, that the other board members can give their input to the chair, but the chair has the authority to make those decisions on certain appointments.
It could be an understanding that with the chair that they would seek the input of,
Yes,
of the
right,
full
that's
board.
part of it, seeking the input, right, but ultimately it's their decision. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ward, is that how you recall how it used to work in terms of,
Yes.
let's say if it's you or anybody else that, for example, it's usually the planning commission that has the most applications and sometimes is the most complex. It'd be based on not just the voices and preferences, but kind of the full input of the full board, right?
Right. And that's actually stated in both, I think, statute and our zoning
The zoning
ordinance.
ordinance,
Yeah, it is.
I thought we had moved to a point though, and maybe this was with Commissioner Olson there as well, is that there'd be kind of like a non-binding sense of the body, not a vote, but like just so everyone, so it was really clear that the board chair was was appointing based on the full board and not just his or her preferences. Can that be implied that they're not required?
it's,
Goes back to this goes all the way back to Chuck McLean. I realize this is a long time ago. I apologize.
right, and I was a public defender then.
Mhm.
But I did follow the board. I would say that the board in general is a legislative body. And so if the board makes a decision that they would like to take that input and make it as a sort of consensus recommendation, but it's only a recommendation.
Right.
Ultimately, it's
Understood.
still,
Yep.
right, the board
Gotcha.
chair's
It's a recommendation.
discretion, right. Mhm.
It says advisement
Right,
in the.
advisory, yeah. And
So
then-
if it was,
Well,
like, for
staff
example,
can.
Commissioner Ward, would you be willing to take on the full input of the full board, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I've asked for that in the past
Right.
and also it does say staff, input from the staff. And I've asked for that in the past.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because 8 years of experience, but 12 years of also of not being here. I just wanted to clarify some things. Thank you. That's all that I had. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. Nay.
Nay.
So with a tie, I believe the motion fails.
That's correct.
I'd like to nominate Chris Meyer to be the chair for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Commissioner Olson has moved and Commissioner Vagley has seconded. Motion to make Commissioner Meyer the chair for 2023. Is there further discussion?
Same thing. So you would, when it comes to.
Commissioner Ward first and then you,
apologize.
Commissioner Vagley.
I'm sorry, I cannot support Commissioner Meyer. We still have pending lawsuits in regards to actions that she individually took prior to her being on the county board. So I will not support the motion.
Commissioner Vagley.
And same thing, I just asked the Commissioner Ward, if you become the board chair, you will, you did a very nice job in the last newspaper article I read when you were being interviewed, and then you made it clear that when you were talking about yourself, so you'll continue doing that. And when it comes to the planning commission appointments, you'll listen to the input of the full board.
Yes, I intend to.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I
Oh,
apologize. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you have more to say?
Yes, actually, it's a process question. And I'm not at all opposed to Commissioner Meyer, but because there's only 4 of us, in order for any motion to carry, you need to have 3, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I
Okay,
apologize.
further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. We will move on to the rest of our business.
Vice Chair.
Oh, yes, pardon. Yes, please consider.
I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to nominate Commissioner Ward for vice chair.
Second that motion.
Commissioner Olson has moved and Commissioner Vagley has seconded, making Commissioner Ward the vice chair for 2023. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Does the vice chair sit here?
No. It doesn't need to
It
be.
doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't need to be. But wherever you're more comfortable.
No, I'm fine wherever. I just
She
sometimes
could probably throw things at me if she's, she's more likely to hit me.
in the past there was a little dance in terms
Yeah.
of reorganizing, but
This works.
gotcha.
But we do have space, so if
Yeah.
anyone
Right,
wants
that's
to.
right.
That you could move over there?
When I came in, I was
Maybe you
The over
a
there,
better camera angle at that
okay.
side,
whatever works.
whatever.
Gotcha.
Better view out the window.
Maybe next time I'll move over there.
At this point, we'll move on to the rest of our agenda. So our next item is public comment. If there's anyone here in the audience that would like to share their thoughts with the county board, please step forward and say your name and address.
Ron Gandrud, 143 Pearson Drive, St. Charles, Minnesota, Winona County Sheriff. I'm here today. I'd like to recognize one of our former staff. He recently retired from our water patrol. Troy Liebfried has been a deputy with the sheriff's office for 28 years, dedicating his time and his service to our water patrol on many a call. Sad to say, we've had a lot of accidents on the river. The other thing that I'd like to mention is Troy has trained in the staff that work our water patrols. Seasonal position, we've kept him on for the 28 years as the lead. And each year we have to hire additional staff. We try to get 3 more. He helps in the hiring process. He trains them all in, gets them all acquainted with the river and our boats and everything else. And he's done a great job doing that. So I'd just like to recognize him for his 28 years of service to the sheriff's office. I'd just like Troy to take a second too. One thing I know he's very proud of and I find very heartwarming is he has trained in all these people for us over the summers to get them ready for their first jobs usually. I mean, I think always. Very seldom is there somebody with experience. So these are new recruits pretty much. And
They're generally fresh out of school.
We need to stand to the
They're,
mic.
they're generally fresh out of school, the recruits. Right now I'm at 44 that I've trained in. And they're all the way from Alaska State Troopers, State Patrol locally, DNR locally, and then almost every county surrounding, some in Wisconsin as well. They're kind of spread all over the place, but I try to keep in contact with most of them. It's kind of a nice thing.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
I got the question. You're retiring, but obviously you're knowledgeable about the river and probably spend still a lot of time on the river.
Correct.
Can you do citizens arrest on the river?
Did you have someone in mind?
No, another set of eyes out there that,
No, I probably won't unless it's a serious thing. And then
but I mean, it is allowed. He could. Yeah, because we hate to lose the experience.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I've told Ron is, if there's situational things that come up, feel free to give me a call. I do know a lot about the river and things that happen where people end up when they go in the water. So
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you know where all the wing dams are?
I do, and I haven't hit most of them.
Really?
That's good. It's a good thing. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Ron.
River person. I don't like the river.
Is there anyone else here in the audience? Oh, wait, I'm going to wait till they finish the photo op here. Thank you. Is there anyone else here in the audience, or if you are participating over the internet on Ring Central, could you unmute yourself? Please get our attention. If you're here in the room, please step forward to the podium and tell us your name and address. I'm going to ask just a couple more times. Is there anyone else here in the audience or on the internet that would like to participate in public comment today? And for the third and final time, is there anyone here in the audience or participating over the internet that would like to share a comment with us today at the county board? Hearing nothing, we're going to move on. Next item is 3, which is the approval of the previous county board minutes.
Question for Ms. Sonneman. Should I abstain from this since I wasn't a part of the board?
Yes, that would be a good
Perfect.
idea. Thank you for
So
asking.
maybe when you do the vote options, abstention option.
Okay,
Motion to approve 3.1.
I'll second. Okay. Commissioner Olson has moved and Commissioner Meyer has seconded approval of the county board minutes from December 27th of 2022. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay, motion carries. We have some approved committee minutes. That would be the next order of business for approval. They're the Planning Commission and the Whitewater Joint Powers Board.
I'll move to approve the receipt of those two set of meeting minutes.
Second.
Commissioner Vagley has moved. Commissioner Olson has seconded approval of committee minutes for the Planning Commission of November 17th of 2022, for the Whitewater Joint Powers Board of October 20th of 2022. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Next item is to approve our consent agenda and the agenda. Commissioner Ward,
Nothing to do.
Mr. Vagley,
I have some comments at the end of the meeting.
Commissioner Olson,
Nothing for me.
County Attorney Sonneman,
I would have something at the end of the meeting as well.
and Administrator Holte. Okay, so our agenda stands as it is with a few comments added to the end, but it does need to be approved.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Olson has moved and Commissioner Vagley has seconded our agenda as set with a couple comments at the end. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Administrator Holte, could you read the consent business for the record?
Absolutely. 6.1 for Mark, Angela, and Becky Clark. 6.2, approve resolution establishing 2024 minimum salary for elected positions. 6.3, award bid and approve contract with Winona Post for 2023. 6.4, approve renewal of Healthy Balance Agreement with Winona Health. 6.5, approve contract with Ethan Wyatt. 6.6, approve LG 220 gambling application and exempt permit Friends of Country Climbers Snowmobile Club. 6.7, approve renewal of purchase of service and business associate agreements with Frederick Guardianship Services. 6.8, designate publication of transportation projects on county website. And 6.9, approve procurement policy 5.02.
Thank you. That is our consent business, but it does require approval.
I'll move to approve the consent items.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Vagley has moved and Commissioner Olson has seconded approval of the consent items. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Ward?
Just one comment on approving the conditional use permit for the Clarks. I greatly appreciate them wanting to continue to do dairy in Winona County. And these are very good improvements to an already good operation. So I do appreciate them moving forward and a younger generation kind of taking over the family farm. Becky is in the audience. So thank you very much.
Any additional comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Consent business passes. We now move on to our general business. First item is to discuss the county board appointments to boards and committees. And so that is those committees which the commissioners themselves represent or act as a liaison to. We have in our packet what the 2022 board appointments are. And in addition to this, Commissioner Kavesi had 2 seats, one on the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Board and one on ORC. And it was my understanding that these are in fact designated by those organizations as for a commissioner. And so they have not previously been on our list. And
That was one of my questions. Thank you.
yeah, and so I don't know if it requires a motion to officially add them or if we can simply do that by consent. Commissioner Ward?
I'm familiar with the Hiawatha Valley Health because at one time I did serve on that board. I'm not aware of the ORC that's a county board. And we have to look to almost legal. It gets somewhat unclear. You're sitting on a board that the county is a primary funding source and you're making decisions to spend money that you've approved through a county board and then making decisions how to spend that money within that organization. And a lot of times I felt it was almost a conflict of interest. I know Commissioner Kavesi at times recused herself from votes here at this board regarding, in particular, Hiawatha mental health, which I think I appreciated. But I guess I'm unclear. ORC, I'm not as familiar with their governing board and how they operate. And I don't know what our link with county funding and such is for ORC. And maybe I'm looking to Ms. Holte if she can clarify any of that.
I would assume they have some contracts with us, but I don't know. Karen Sanis is. Thanks.
They do have some contracts. I think one of them is the ORC cleaning contract or laundry in the jail.
Yeah.
And I think there's actually some up in human services where they actually provide like work incentive or individuals that get to go out in the community and do jobs. So I think those are the couple of contracts that I can think of offhand.
Yeah. And it would certainly be possible for us to simply not fill those positions. But then again,
They're vital organizations in our community and in our service band, but I guess maybe I would look to legal to clarify the roles. So if a contract comes up in the county and you're sitting here as the county commissioner, but then they also, when you serve on those committees, they look to you as a funding source also. They say, well, the counties could do this. And I know Hiawatha Valley Mental Health is multiple counties. It's Houston, Wabasha, and Winona service area. So whereas ORC, I think is primarily Winona. I don't know. I don't know who serves on that board. So there again, I don't know if you're right. Maybe we leave them vacant for now and fill them later, or
Administrator Holding.
desire of the board.
My understanding, Commissioners, Council, is that we've talked about this in the past and the potential conflict. The situation that I'm recalling is that there's the opportunity for a county commissioner to be on their council or their panels. It's not a requirement, but they're trying to involve the county in what's going on in their entities. And I don't recall which ones allow them a voting right. But that's something we can work on with council. But that's what I'm recalling, is that it's whether or not we wanted to have a seat at the table with those entities.
I see.
And that's why it wasn't on the list.
I think it would be advisory versus an actual, kind of ex officio versus an actual voting power. And I don't know on SEMCRA, for instance, or you call it SEMCA. I always say SEMCRA.
SEMCRA.
Yeah, if you have a voting seat on that. or
Yes,
not.
that's
Yeah.
a unique organization.
But
that-
it's still,
that I'm-
there's still a lot of funding from the county.
Yes,
but-
yes.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's, you're elected, actually, you're elected by that. I think you're not, don't quote me, but I think you're nominated from the county board and then you're elected
To serve.
by the
Mhm.
SEMCHA board
Yeah.
and stuff.
So
So
I
it's.
guess I would suggest, because I know Mr. Moga and I are going to be meeting about the public funding policy, right, Mr. Moga? So I could combine that in talking with Mr. Moga then about this question of advisory or ex officio versus voting and establish a policy on that so that there would be some clarification for the board to make those decisions on appointments to those agencies or entities, because there's a lot that receive funding. I mean, the History Center
Well, and I have been asked.
and the county fair.
I've been asked a
Right.
couple of times by the History Center to join their board, and I have
Mhm.
said, well, do you understand that it would be elected, whoever the county board wanted is who would, not me necessarily, right? And so then they decided not to do it.
Yeah, and then I think clarification, soil and water, I'm not sure, we have a representative, but I'm not sure if they get a vote.
No, they don't.
It's just, yeah, that person doesn't vote. It's just, so there again, we've got, but then Whitewater Joint Powers, I think they do get a vote. So I
So
mean,
we'll have to examine what the, for each entity, what the commissioner who's appointed there does and how that may affect the status of whether or not that should be.
I am curious to know how other board members feel. You want to make a motion? Do you want to just leave it as asking Finance Director Moga and County Attorney Sonneman to come back with a legal recommendation, or do you want a formal vote? Commissioner Bagley?
My recollection, this goes back again over 12 years, is like, for example, the Historical Society or the History Center is no longer here. That used to be Commissioner Stolpen, who used to be a serve on that, but that was removed.
Yep.
And to me, I think a large conflict would happen, excuse me, if we had, for example, 3 commissioners on these boards. But if it's just one commissioner sitting on the board, and as long as it's clear both ways that when they sit there, they don't speak for the whole board, and that when they come back, they're very transparent with what's being discussed. I think many of the different boards, both intergovernmental and nonprofits, would like commissioners on the boards for a lot of reasons, et cetera. I'm okay with it, but I don't think it should be maybe leave it as an optional, like Hiawatha, which is very important, and like Commissioner Ward said, but that could be an optional one that we could, I guess, appoint or agree to appoint someone to. Is that more clear or less clear?
I don't.
Like, for example, keep the ones that we, I think it's 29 of the existing committees that we divide up. Keep that as it is, and we'll make a motion on all those. The Hiawatha Valley, I guess, we can consider separately, or is that more
Oh,
confusing?
that's fine.
I guess the confusion comes in is with Commissioner Jacob gone. He sat on some pretty key committees, and they were like the Soil and Water, the Whitewater Joint Powers. Would those be ones that Commissioner Ward would want, or how are we gonna deal with those vacancies.
Yeah.
And I had assumed for the ones that I'm the alternate, I'll just go. So I'll go to soil water till there's a replace,
Okay,
and then it
okay.
could, in my mind, it could revert back then to that
Okay.
commissioner. So I would fill in just in the interim. The exception to that, I think Commissioner Ward maybe might think is Road and Bridge.
Yeah, road and road and bridge, yeah, again, I think it's written that it's the two rural commissioners. So there'd be no problem of somebody sitting in as a, we don't have an alternate. We could put anybody in there for alternate until, again, the seat, the district commissioner seat is filled.
Mr. Bagley.
Following up on what Commissioner Myers said, Commissioner Ward, are you okay with, like, for example, Whitewater Joint Powers, you would become the primary until when the new commissioner is elected? We should probably review this anyways and
I
see
would-
what he or she
Sure.
would want to sit on anyways. But
I agree.
in the interim, for example, like Whitewater Joint Powers, you'd become the primary. Soil and Water, Commissioner Meyer would become Parks and Environmental. That's one that I'll indicate an interest in here in a minute, et cetera, because it was Commissioner Kovesi that was the alternate. Where else was, and Mr. Jacob was Land Records as well, which doesn't meet very often, right?
So should we start at the top?
Yeah, why don't we
I'm
just?
sorry,
run
yes,
through
yep.
it? Yeah.
So AMC delegates, that's everybody, although we do have designated committees. I don't know what Commissioner Kovesi's committees were.
I believe she was on Health and Human Service.
Madam Chair, we'll have that on the next agenda, so
Okay.
we can discuss that in more detail.
Okay, so we can leave that as is. CJCC. I realize that Commissioner Vagley, you are still working a full-time job. And this is a lot.
That's his
and-
problem. not
Yeah,
ours.
and there's a lot of subcommittees. So I have been the alternate, but I have been attending. Would you be interested in letting me become the primary on CJCC?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'll follow through Attorney Sonneman and others. I'll follow the meeting minutes. And if there are some of the subcommittees, I think meet at different times. If I can
Yes.
attend those, I will attend the subcommittees.
And many do by
They Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in fact,
They-
all
it
of them.
still
I
is
think.
Zoom,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's all.
So it's pretty easy.
But yes, that would actually be helpful if you became the primary and then I could become the alternate.
Okey-doke. So Committee of the Board and the Community Health Board, that is all of us. The Economic Development Authority. Mr. Vagley?
That is one that I would like to, if it's okay with the others, become a member, one of the two commissioners to sit on that one.
Okay with me?
So possibly take your spot,
Yep, you can have my spot.
if that's okay with the others.
No more windmills.
Not in that location.
The Emergency Coordinating Committee. I'm the primary, Commissioner Ward's the alternate. I'm happy to continue in that way. It's a great committee. EMS Joint Powers Board, Commissioner Ward's the primary, I'm the alternate. It's okay with me. Extension Committee, Ward, Jacob, and then the alternate would be you, Commissioner Vagley.
Be fine unless somebody else wanted it.
Great River Rail. I am the primary and you would be the alternative, Commissioner Vagley?
Sure. Unless somebody else wants it.
Is that just a question, clarification on that one? Does that meet it says monthly, the first Thursday and in Red Wing. And is that during the day?
Sometimes they only do it quarterly, but yes, it is monthly and yes, it is in Red Wing and it is like at 9 a.m. So it's like a half a day thing to go up for the meeting.
Sure.
And they
I mean,
no
if you're the
longer-
Primary.
They did Zoom, but they no longer do. Now it's,
Would you be interested in that?
As an alternate, it'd be fine, yeah.
Okay.
if
Okay.
What
Commissioner
if we have
Meyer-
Commissioner, I know you're on a lot already. If you're okay with the Commissioner Ward,
Sure.
Make her the
I'll be-
alternate.
I can
Yep,
be the
that's great.
alternate.
Yep, no problem. Okay, Health and Human Services Advisory Committee. There are two primary. Currently, that's Commissioner Ward and it would be you, Commissioner Vagley.
yes, I would like to, if
And-
that's okay. I served
okay.
8 years before with Commissioner Ward on
And
that.
that's late in the day, three.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm-
it is Zoom.
And I am the alternate, and I usually do attend, but I just don't talk if everyone's there. Okay, the Airport Zoning Committee, that's Commissioner Olson and myself. And I don't think we're going to meet again.
No.
Maybe for the next 4 years.
That's
Really?
fine.
We don't have an active airport in Winona?
We just got done revising the zoning.
We have
ordinance.
completely rewrote the zoning because of flight paths and all kinds of new regulations.
And that's a body that doesn't meet that often.
No,
I was-
no.
Only if
No,
there's going
but
to be a zoning change.
from an
yeah.
economic development standpoint, that we still have an active
Oh,
airport,
absolutely, yeah.
right? No commercial activity. I mean, it's just private.
No, there's,
There's some commercial.
Yeah.
Is there?
I'm sure UPS and yeah, those
UPS.
guys, yeah, they
Okay.
land there.
All right. Okay.
I'm sure,
Fastenal.
yeah, I'm sure Fastenal lands their corporate jets there.
I mean, I guess I'm sorry, I clarify that consumer, the general public.
Yep.
It's
There's not
company,
passenger
right?
flights.
It's company directive.
I think that's true. Okay.
We don't have Southwest.
The land,
Southwest,
Just so we don't have Southwest.
so there's the Land Records Committee. Commissioner Jacob was the primary and I was the alternate, and I would be happy to just always go until we have replaced Commissioner Jacob.
I would I would
Would you
be
like to be
willing
the
to-
primary?
until, yes, until that commissioner seat is filled, please.
Okay, I'm cool with that. The Law Library, I'm the primary, Commissioner Olson's the alternate, and we have met a few times, but I don't know that there's anything, in there. It's been by Zoom, so I'm fine with that. Minnesota County Intergovernmental Trust, Commissioner Ward with an alternate of Jacob, so that would be, you would be the alternate, Commissioner Vagley?
Sure.
And that's basically just the annual meeting of voting, and being that I serve two roles in that, I'm almost always going to be there.
Okay.
The Minnesota Intercounty Association, Commissioner Ward and I are both primaries, and then Commissioner Olson is the alternate. I'm perfectly fine with that.
They've been Zoom and or phone. so
I am going to go to their annual meeting later this month, which is in Foley. Okay, the Minnesota Workforce Council. Commissioner Olson's the primary and I'm the alternate, but I usually
Yeah,
do,
you're there every time.
I usually do go, yeah. And it is on Zoom still. Okay, one watershed, one plan. Now this is the Root River, right?
Yes, that's the original. Yes,
So
and I would still stay there.
I'd gladly join that one. What are the meeting times though?
Well, it's monthly, or no, sometimes it's monthly. I think we've actually gone to quarterly, and they're in Preston in the first thing in the morning, like at 8 o'clock. But there again, I usually am able to cover those.
Okay,
But
Oh,
if you want to be the alternate,
I'll give you the alternate.
yeah, you could.
right, the Parks and Environment Committee, currently Commissioner Jacob is the primary and Commissioner Kavesi has been the alternate.
I'd be fine taking that until for now,
Okay, so you will be the alternate, but you'll go until
Yep.
the Commissioner Jacob's seat is.
unless somebody else, but that, sure.
Planning Commission, the primary has been Commissioner Jacob, and I think this has to be a rural commissioner, so it does fall upon you, Commissioner Ward.
Yes,
So just leave it at one for now.
Mhm,
I think so.
I think so.
There again, it's advisory, so
Yep.
everything comes to the full board.
Although-
Back anyways.
Yeah, this is true. And I mean, there's 9 commissioners, so there will still be plenty of people, even if Commissioner Ward misses a meeting. The Regional Emergency Communication Committee.
Larry, back up. Isn't it 9 with the 2 commissioners? So it just.
No,
Oh,
Have to do the-
okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
okay. Regional Emergency Communication Committee. Commissioner Ward's the primary and Commissioner Jacob is the alternate.
That one meets in Rochester usually bi-monthly.
I think we need to appoint an alternate, or you happy, you fine going?
I'm covering it, and actually Winona County is chairing that position this year.
Oh, so
And that's all the 800 megahertz and the radios and all the communications. So I'm fine.
Thank you.
Regional Rail Authority, that's all of us. Road and Bridge, Commissioner Jacob and Ward are both primary. And you will continue to attend, Commissioner Ward, and then can you cover it by yourself?
It's fine, and I think we're going to maybe be changing some of the format there with the past communications. So I think it's open for another commissioner to easily attend and not, break any quorum.
Just leave it 1 for now.
One for now would be
Okay.
fine. If somebody wants to be, if somebody wants to be the alternate, then I guess it's clear that it's,
It has to be a rural, doesn't it?
well,
Or is that just?
no,
our
I think that's
convention?
just our own.
That's precedent.
Yeah, I think planning commission is
That's in.
statutory or zoning.
Or in
ordinance.
our ordinance. yeah.
But, yeah. And it'd probably be good to have a city commissioner know what our county roads are like. I'll take you on a tour this afternoon. Let's see how far we get.
We're doing a tour this summer, right? Or isn't it
Yes.
usually a tour in the
Yeah,
summer?
we usually do a tour and stuff. But when they're glazed over with ice, much more interesting.
More exciting.
But if anybody wants to be the alternate, that not a problem.
All right, well, we can pencil me in as the alternate.
Okay.
The Safety Committee, I'm the primary, Commissioner Olson's the alternate. I'm fine with that.
You have a big job right now. We don't want any slip and falls with the ice.
You want the moderate down.
It's under your
Okay.
supervision.
So SHAC, I don't always know what statewide.
State Community Health Service Advisory Committee.
Okay, it has been Commissioner Ward with an alternate of
Yep.
Commissioner Kavesi. The meetings are up in the Twin Cities, St. Paul maybe?
Yes, usually in St. Paul, but we have lately, as of late, they've been Zoom or available. So,
And
and we
what
have a
time
new
of,
commissioner coming in.
like what time of day?
Usually from like 9 to 2.
9 to 2?
It's usually on a Friday.
Okay, Commissioner Rakley, if that's I would be happy to fill in as alternate
That
if
would
you
be
want.
great. Thank you.
Okay. And of course, we have a new commissioner of health coming in. It should be interesting.
Do we know who yet?
Yes, it's somebody that's already been in the public
Right.
health arena, but more equity role. And I apologize, I don't remember the name.
I
It's
can
been
see the
announced.
picture, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's
can't
been
remember the name.
announced.
Mhm.
Yes, okay.
SEMCAC, I have been the primary, but I would gladly,
I could take that one. That's a night meeting.
with food, so there you go.
Oh, bonus.
SEMTRA is Commissioner Ward. And I'm assuming that you,
Yeah, that I will, like I say, that's a little different. That actually I'm elected by that board or, there's a,
Soil and Water
and
Conservation.
Buffy would miss me terribly.
Soil and Water Conservation District, Commissioner Jacob has been the primary and I've been the alternate.
Are you willing to be the primary? And
Okay.
I would gladly be the alternate.
Okay, so I'll do the primary and you be the alternate? Okay, and I will let you know if I can't make it. Whitewater's Joint Powers Board, Commissioner Jacob has been the primary and Commissioner Ward is the alternate.
I'll plan on covering that as the alternate until we get an appointed person, elected person. If we guarantee that the weather's nice for that scenic drive to Whitewater State Park. It's over an hour from my house. So.
Wow.
It is.
Mississippi River, Winona, La Crescent Watershed, one plan. That has been Commissioner Kavesi with an alternate of Jacob. Commissioner Vegley, I would be happy to take over as the primary.
That'd be fantastic.
Commissioner Ward, would you like to be?
Sure, I can be the alternate. Deals with water and it's similar issues to one.
Okay, so that covers this. Aside from the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health and ORC, which I think we kind of agreed to leave alone. Now, we have not in the past, except occasionally had a vote for the slate. We have usually just done it as we have now, going through it. Is everyone comfortable with that? I am. Administrator Holte.
Madam Chair, this will come back at the next meeting for you to review one more time.
Oh, fabulous. Okay.
Change it.
Should we wait then to talk about Hiawatha Valley mental health, or should we talk about that now?
Fine with talking about it now?
I would be fine if a commissioner wanted to be a member of the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health to have that person do so, but it's an optional appointment. Or I think all of us serve in other bodies or other groups already, anyways.
Are you interested in
I
being?
think I'm going to talk with Commissioner of SC and see if she wants to continue with that, and then maybe she can keep us updated, et cetera, unless somebody else wants to.
No, and where this,
Yeah, please go after Commissioner Ward has the floor and afterwards. Commissioner-
where this comes in,
Administrator Holte.
where this comes into play, if history takes us back, is that there used to be per diem associated to committee assignments. And we eliminated that many years ago. And so that clarified some of the committees. And some counties still have per diems per committees, but we do not. And so, and I think regarding Hiawatha, I believe former Commissioner Kavesi has said that she is going to continue to serve as a citizen But I think, yeah, we can have legal take a look at, and then it's unclear on ORC. Again, I guess to me, the clarity is who has the voting power on these committees, if they need to be appointed by the county board to have the vote, or if they just show up, they get the vote. You know, every committee's run a little differently. So I think we need clarity there as to how it operates.
Okay, great. Yeah, Commissioner Bagley.
So for now, we'll not appoint anyone to Hiawatha Bend. I'll talk with former Commissioner Kovesi and then we'll bring it back next time. Is that okay?
Or share
Okay. And
and ORC.
Yep.
And have we been requested by ORC? I
In the
don't know.
past, we have.
Oh, okay, but not recently.
Ask a question and then a clarification. Have we been has the county been approached by the History Center?
I have been, but then they decided to wait and Ms. Johnson, the director, said she and her board were going to review their bylaws. And so, no, it wasn't, she asked and then I sort of explained it to her and then she retracted.
And then I would just suggest, because now we have the two, one watershed, one plans, to put Root River on the list.
That would be,
There.
that would be less confusing.
Yeah.
More
The
clear.
one.
Right now, it just says.
No, that would require a bylaw change. We're known as one watershed. No.
No,
I'll
actually,
say
I wrote
attorneys.
that, so I know what it is. It is the Root
Can't
River.
change the name now. You have to have a
It's Root
vote.
River. It's Root River.
You can put it behind in parentheses.
Yeah, Commissioner Bagley.
Actually, Commissioner Ward brought up a point that, so is there no per diems anymore at all, or just for the committee
No per diems
at all for anything?
at all. You can claim mileage
Okay.
and if
Good.
you would have expenses.
That was actually my question,
Yeah.
because you and Commissioner Jacob, whoever that person is, have a distinctly different drive. So
Yeah.
I would want to put, as long as there's mileage is
Yeah.
optional, that's okay.
Mileage covers
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
It wouldn't cover the expenses of owning a Tesla though, because mileage is supposed to be your payment and your insurance and mileage and everything.
But no per diems, which I'm glad. Yes.
2005 Honda Civics it covers. We're good.
Including when I hit them. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. I did, in fact, hit Commissioner Ward's car at the Road and Bridge meeting.
Ironically.
Yeah.
Uh,
County Road. Interesting lawsuit.
Okay, so I think that I had two items in addition that were added. One of those is Commissioner Bagley has some comments, and then Karen, the county attorney, has an announcement.
This is my first meeting, so I'll try to make this quick, but there are a couple of things I wanted to say was, first of all, we had a ceremonial swearing in today, and we had the official one last week. I know that we all take it seriously, but I just want to say it again, is that is not a formality and that's not going through the motions. This Friday is the 2-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And what we were doing was we were, pledging our allegiance, or swearing in terms to the Constitution, not to a person or not to a political party. So I just want to emphasize again how important it is what we did. And it doesn't, sometimes I know things that we do feel like we're going through the motions, but that was not a formality. That's a big deal. I'm very excited to be on the county board again. I have 8 years of experience, 12 years of perspective. In between my last term and now, I've done a lot of things in the community. If it's with working with the homeless community, a project with the veterans, working with refugees, and a number of other things. And it's also given me some distance and time to I've also had a chance to sit in the back of the room for 6 months and watch you all, which is also an interesting experience, is to sit in a different part of the room and watch the group. I know how difficult it is to be a county commissioner, and sometimes the conversations do look clunky and awkward because we simply can't talk with more than one other person before the meeting. So I hope that the public is patient with us. I want all the staff to know that I know that there are chains of commands and there are processes in place, but I want everyone in the county to know at all levels that I'm very open to any kind of thoughts or inputs or ideas. I will, of course, be working a lot with the county administrator, with the department heads, with others, but I also want everyone in the county to know at all levels that I'm always open to hearing ideas and input. Working in the school district, I know sometimes there's a gap between what the board hears and is told and what's happening at the ground level. People who are on the front lines. I want people at all levels in the county to feel comfortable talking with me. Of course, and whenever possible, deal with it at the lowest possible level in terms of the issue in the department, but let folks know that they're always very welcome to talk with me. A couple things. I talked with Administrator Holte about this. So I had to clarify, we used to have a committee of the board, which is like a work session or a discussion session. That was a regular thing, but that's not regular anymore. That's something that we schedule. Is that correct?
Correct.
What I'd like to throw out to the other commissioners, and again, here's one of the clunky parts, is could we possibly have a work session either before or probably, I guess, after the next county board meeting on the 10th? Or maybe it's the night evening meeting. What I'd like to, so what I have to do now until we change the process is suggest 3 things that it would go on, not a regular board meeting, but on a work session. So it's non-binding. Is that, help me with the verbiage. So it's a work session. So everything to discuss there nothing would be binding, right? So what I'd like to discuss and I need one other commissioner to put it on. We need a commissioner to move it to a work session or just to a normal business meeting.
You need a second to.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's right.
Okay.
But you don't get to have it immediately.
Right.
Gotcha.
Then you have to get 3 votes at the
Maybe
next
something
meeting
like that.
and
Okay. What I'd like to do,
And that's your next item, I hope.
oh my gosh, yes, hard yes. Is I'd like to propose a work session and to review the board process. I understand the way that it is. And we need to strike a balance between getting things done and not rushing things through. But this 3-step process sitting in the back of the room, I could tell that it's clunky and confusing to the people up here, and it's also confusing to the public as well. I'd like to review and maybe streamline that process. So review what do you call that? The board process, the board policy.
Process and procedure.
Okay, process and procedure. And maybe this is water underneath the bridge, and it's already etched into stone. But it still surprises me that it takes so long to replace Commissioner Jacobs' seat. Is that already set in stone because the board voted to have it? I mean, May and probably what would be August to wait 8 months to fill that seat is a long time.
It actually is by statute because.
You have to
of-
wait that long.
Yeah, well, and because of but because of the timing on, because his term still has 2 years. If it's more than, I think, 90 days, is Chelsea's different? Yeah, it's
More than a year.
Yeah.
well,
There's
but
rules.
it's by statute. So I know I had read the article in the paper.
Yep. It's not like 80 days, but that's
but-
different.
The key is that it's not anything that anybody made up. It's by statute that this is how it has to be done
So there's no way. to
because
have
of the
it sooner.
timing of
Okay.
leaving the term.
Because if I was a constituent in that district, and just for our sake as well, it'd be nice to have 5
Oh, yeah.
commissioners. Because
Yeah.
May is a long wait, and then August, if there's more than 2, that's a
Right,
long
and
time.
that's the other thing is if there's more than 2, that pushes it back. So
Okay.
you have to have the primary and then the general.
So there is no way to have it sooner.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, unless you
Well-
get a fast bill through the legislature, but okay.
We'll try that.
Representative Jacob can do that, yeah.
Oh, actually, yes. So I would like to discuss, if I could get a second, the possibly reviewing the board process and procedures.
Yes, I'll second that.
And I'd also like to have at a work session, nothing binding, I know that you guys had discussed this in the prior months about the county administrator position, but I'd like to have us move sooner versus later on this. So what I'd like to propose at a work session is a review of where we're at. Because to me, I'm in no position to, appoint or suggest person X, Y, or Z, but in my mind, there's at least 2 very qualified candidates that were discussed before. So I don't think we need, and the county board has done due diligence, I think at least once, if not twice on this issue. So I think no one could accuse us of fast tracking this, but I'd like to just review where it's at and discuss a possible option of replacing that position sooner versus later.
Is this not going to be on our agenda on the 27th?
Yes.
Oh, 27th?
January.
With David Drown being present,
Yeah,
probably
With
Pat.
Pat Melvin being here, yeah.
Is that the headhunting firm?
Yes, the consultant firm, yes.
I think, unless there's something that you want to
Well, I'd like
discuss
to
that
ask-
shouldn't be done at that meeting, but
Thank you. That's actually good to know. I'd actually like to discuss the possibility of not engaging in paying any more money to headhunting firms and just look at the possibility of 2 people that have been candidates before.
I would assume you could propose that at the 27th meeting.
I'd actually like to propose it because we might not even need him to come if the board would agree. Maybe not. I don't want to have a person come and then say that we're not going to use your services. Or it was just a review of the option anyways. We weren't already committed to the services.
Right, because it'll cost us more to extend a contract.
Could we put it on, if we're going to have, if we do have a work session, could we put it just to review where we're at? And I apologize. This is,
I don't think it has to be a work session. I think we just do it. We're just going to do it at the board meeting.
On the 20th.
I don't want folks to feel though that, okay.
Is it 24th?
Is it, I said the 27th, but
I think
you
it's 27th.
Yeah, I do. I looked
Whatever
at
day
it.
it
That's the last board. meeting.
it's the last thing there. That was
You're
my
right.
understanding because we thought we would be pretty busy on the 10th.
Okay. All right, then we can wait.
Yeah, so it's the 24th. It's a night meeting on the 24th.
So we could do more than just discuss hunting firm consulting up or down, right? We could do more on that night.
Right, because it's on.
Administrator Holt.
The intent is to basically have it open-ended where you can discuss your options and
Okay,
your next
perfect.
steps. Because
So-
that's the intent.
Yeah.
Okay, so long as there's an open-ended in there, that would be great.
That was my understanding. Okay, so if I understand this correctly, we have a request for board action that has been made by Commissioner Vegley and it was seconded by Commissioner Ward. And this would be to review our meeting process. And it will come to the next agenda and we'll see if there are three, we would need to get 3 votes to advance. I will just say this, that my concern with this is that I believe that that policy, which is a written policy, has a 1-year, can't be modified more than every 12 months. And we did just discuss this, including that particular option, August, September, something like that.
I think unless new information, pertinent new information, and having new board members to me opens the door for that discussion.
Yeah, and so I didn't necessarily want to debate that outcome, Commissioner Ward, but I did want to bring it up. Yeah, Commissioner Olson.
I think the 1-year provision was specifically citing if you do have new commissioners, that you don't just go back and revisit every time we have an election. So that 1-year provision would preclude us from changing anything on that.
We can change
Well,
anything at
we
any
can,
time with a
but-
majority
Yeah,
vote.
perhaps the staff could bone up on that particular question.
Well, because according to the document in our packet, it was June 23rd, 2020, but there was another time that was another discussion that superseded that.
Just this
Just recently.
in 2022, just like a few months ago. Yeah, Administrator Holte.
Madam Chair, Ms. Sonneman, on page 4 at the very top where it's number 8.
Are you referring to
On
the board packet?
policy, yeah,
Okay.
page 4. It states policy decisions shall not be revisited for a 1-year period unless the situation or circumstance changes substantially and a 4/5 majority of the board agrees to
Ooh.
reopen the policy.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Is that something that applies in this situation?
This, we don't have a 5th.
I know, that's right. But if all of us
Well,
unanimously
Yeah,
agree,
I
majority.
think if it's unanimous.
I'm just posing the question.
Yeah.
Sure.
well,
Mhm.
perhaps
And
we
it's
could.
odd. It's one of the
Yeah.
very few things where we have a super majority. I felt we need super majorities
Yeah,
in
and
other
I-
things. but we
Honestly, I
don't.
did just want us to be prepared for when this comes back next on the 10th or whenever it comes back.
So it'll be on the 24th then, that you'll be discussing this in a
Potentially.
working session?
Well, it'll
or-
need to come
No,
on the
a
10th
10th to see if
get-
if
Oh.
it goes forward.
Right, okay. Still
Yeah, that's right.
following the old policy.
And then
right,
it'll
got
come
it.
Yeah,
back
that's
on the
right.
24th.
That's right.
Yep.
I
What have you
know.
guys done? Oh my gosh. What have you
Like, it
wrought?
goes like this. Yeah, it goes just like this.
We need to fix this. Holy
Yes.
moly.
I'm not opposed to fixing it, but I'm trying to follow the rules to fix it.
Well,
And I would also note, but I can study up on this as well, but again, you're a legislative body except in certain situations where you're quasi judicial, and this is not a quasi judicial
Okay.
situation. So as a legislative body, you could make a change anytime. The concern is that you start making too many changes all the time.
True.
So.
and I actually think, I apologize. I think the election of new commissioners is a reason to possibly revisit it, as the electorate has possibly spoken. I agree that we shouldn't continually revisit and keep on making changes, but an election, if anything supersedes anything, that's the ultimate arbiter, is who people have selected. to-
However, I would encourage you to have this conversation at the next meeting.
Yeah, we can't have conversation.
Not at
either,
this meeting.
Commissioner. We're
We'll talk about
limited.
it.
Which is what happens. So,
See, that's
yeah.
right.
It's on the
Okay.
agenda.
But
Well,
the-
This is why, in the back of the room and to the public watching, this borders on.
Insanity.
Anarchy, anarchy. Okay, but so now you have elected to drop the second request for board action, which had to do with
The county
review of the county administrator
Yeah,
position.
'cause
And
that's,
just allow that to move forward as it was expected on the
Okay.
27th. Is
Yep.
that, am I right? Okay,
But we will bring this topic of reviewing the board processes to the next meeting to
Yes.
then have a vote of 3 people.
yeah, then you need 3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And currently there is no scheduled work sessions. It's on an as needed basis.
That's- is that a third request for board action?
Is that part of the same thing to discuss under board policy?
Process and procedure, I would say so,
Okay,
yes.
so
rather
big-
than-
So to me, there should be at least one of those where we could informally talk about things.
Mr. Ward, you agree with that, since you were
Yeah,
the
I'll
seconder?
second that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Well,
all the
part of
one.
your
It's
whole
part of
second.
the whole, yeah,
Okay.
process.
So just one item then.
Yeah.
Okay.
How we function.
And then one last thing is this isn't about board process and procedures, is that in the past, I'll just make a quick announcement, and I don't want to make things awkward because all commissioners do things in different ways in terms of how we give back to the community. But I'll be taking, like I did in my first 2 terms, I'll be taking part of my commissioner salary and donating it to two nonprofits. One is a group called Warfighter Advance. It's a regional and national group that works with military veterans, specifically in the area of mental health and suicide prevention. Suicides are an incredibly important issue that faces current and past veterans. For example, more veterans of the Afghan war have died as a result of Afghans than died from the Afghan conflict and died during fighting in Afghanistan. So I'll be donating $1,000 to that organization. I'll also be donating $1,000 to 4 different local churches that work with free community meals: Central Lutheran Church, First Congregational Church, St. Paul's Episcopal, and Wesley United Methodist. They provide free meals 4 days a week to the community. I had done a lot of work with the homeless community, and I realized how vital those groups are. So I'll be donating $1,000 divided 4 ways between those as well. So just something following up on something I said during the campaign that I was going to do. So now I want to say it publicly so I can be held accountable for it as well. That's it then. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Sonneman.
Thank you. I'm not sure I should disclose that I'm a member of First Congregational Church.
But we have not talked about this.
Right, okay.
You're-
We have not talked about this, right, but it is a good thing.
It's
that-
simply where Super Thursday
The
takes
Super
place.
Thursday is right at First Congregational, which my husband works on, so. But what I wanted to mention is kind of getting back to I'll call it post-COVID, even though it's still with us. The Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is getting back to actually having some of their outreach events in person. So January 14th, we will be sponsoring with the League of Women Voters and Project Fine our elected officials forum, which we've done for years, but we had a 2-year break during COVID. That's at the at the Winona History Center here in Winona from about 9 a.m. to 11. There'll be light refreshments served with a kind of social time prior to the panel convening. And elected officials who've been invited will discuss their plans and outlook for 2023. And that includes municipal representatives, county board, county officials, elected officials, school board, and our local legislators. So please, if you can, attend. And we've always had a good forum, good discussions, and it's great to get back in person. So, thank you.
I think that concludes our business.
I'll move to adjourn the regular business meeting. Correct. That's where we're at, right?
That is correct.
This is a new agenda format.
And then, yeah, and so we need a second, but then,
Second.
and Commissioner Olson has seconded, then we would go into a closed session. So it is adjournment, right? Not recess? Oh, we could certainly take a recess after yeah.
Well, you can take a recess, right? And you're adjourning from the
You have to
public
state.
meeting to the closed meeting status, right?
Pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.03
Thank you.
subdivision
All those in
1B.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we are adjourned. We are on break.
We're just gonna stay here. Heidi will shut the cameras off.
Yep.
Yes.